Namaste to all of you. I hope you had a nice week. And I hope you are ready now. Last Saturday, I talked about God, Ishvara. So God has two dimensions, the manifest and unmanifest. The manifest dimension we say Ishvara, and the unmanifest dimension is Brahman. And unmanifest is transcendental consciousness. The manifest is collective consciousness. I'm trying to put it in a language which you understand. Ishvara is collective consciousness and Brahman is transcendental consciousness. According to the Bhagavad Gita, it is in that transcendental consciousness that the time-space continuum appears as a disturbance or a spanda. The time-space appears as a disturbance or spanda in that transcendental consciousness. And all the objects that you see in the world is a further spanda in that time-space continuum. Spanda means a vibration, a self-generated vibration. So we have seen God from many dimensions, many aspects last time. That God has a ontological reality, pure existence. That God has a logical necessity as the first cause. That God has an emotional need. We all have an emotional need. So God fulfilled that need. And we have also seen God as a deep felt experience, presence. When we are within ourselves and enjoy that silence, we feel God. Whatever you feel, as a deeply felt experience, a presence. And we also have seen God as the source of all values. What are the values? Happiness, health, love, freedom, justice, equality. All these values we derive from God. So this is how we have understood God in our last presentation. Today, we are going to talk about the Jiva, the individual, you and I. This embodied, bound entity. That's the theme of today's presentation. Who are we in this larger scheme of things? So we are going to reflect upon ourselves, you and I, the man on the street, the woman on the street. So far we are talking big philosophy, which sometimes goes beyond your head. Now we are talking about this person in flesh and blood, who has got desires, ambitions, aspirations, has a family, a job to keep, lust and greed and anger and violence. That individual You and I. So what is Bhagavad Gita's vision about this individual, I? And we all use the word I. You cannot even utter one sentence without using the word I. Because you are the center of all your experiences. So today, we will be discussing this embodied individual, which I will call the body, mind, ego complex. When I say ego, I mean the agency, the ownership. That I make choices, and I am the owner of those choices, and I face the consequences. So what is Bhagavad Gita's vision or idea about this body, mind, ego complex? And this body, mind, ego complex is enlivened by consciousness. You cannot separate consciousness from the body, mind, ego complex. From the Bhagavad Gita standpoint, the body, mind, ego complex is matter. Matter. And mind is refined matter. And the outside world is a gross matter. So instead of saying matter, you can say mind matter. And then mind includes ego also. So let me put it this way, body, mind, ego complex, enlivened by consciousness. Or consciousness riding on the mind, matter, becomes you and I. So Bhagavad Gita says, Purusha prakrutisto hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan. The Purusha, consciousness, identified with the a prakriti, a unit of prakriti, let me put it that way. When you identify the entire prakriti, it becomes Ishvara. But when consciousness identified the unit of prakriti, a particular basket, let us say, then it becomes you and I. So Purusha prakrutistoi bhunkte prakritijan gunan. As a result of this identification, wearing this mask or the body, mind, ego complex, you are ready to play a particular role in the world. And thus you become a karta, meaning a doer, and an enjoyer in the process, or a producer, consumer. So we are talking about this producer, consumer, jiva, which is nothing but a combination of consciousness and matter. Matter means body, mind, ego complex. So this is the idea of Bhagavad Gita about the individual. And it also, if I borrow a verse from the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, after creating the world, after appearing, after projecting the world, and the world goes through a process of evolution and become mind, individual and collective mind, it says Brahman enters into that mind as an experience. Thus I would say you are a Brahman project. I don't know whether I make it much sense there. You are a Brahman project. As a Brahman project, Brahman wants to realize its full potential through you and me. That's what I mean by saying that you are a Brahman project. Brahman wants to experience itself. Consciousness wants to experience itself in its full splendor. And for that, he creates this material world and the mind, the sophisticated brain, and through which consciousness manifests. So I would say you are a Brahman project, a project of God. So God wears the mask and that becomes you and I. So that we can play different roles and experience ourselves, our full potential. So from that standpoint, the world is not a problem. The world is an opportunity, it's a possibility. We have already seen an enlightened person is one who lives in this world to express her happiness, not expecting happiness. So the world becomes an opportunity, and the choices you make become a channel of expressing your inner joy, and you are abundantly blessed with the joy and love and health and whatnot. The world become an opportunity for us. We have already seen that as a wise person. So you and I are a Brahman project, an instrument of Brahman, let us say, an instrument of God. So that's the second idea we see in the Bhagavad Gita. And the third idea we see in the Bhagavad Gita is that our body, mind, ego complex is a combination of three energies. That's what I am going to discuss today. Because we have to understand the tool with which we are interacting with the world. If you don't know how to use the tool, what is the constituent of the tool, and the body, mind, ego is a tool with which we interact with the world to explore and express our potential. So this body, mind, ego complex, let me put it BME. Body, mind, ego complex. BME. And we have also seen Bhagavad Gita does not want you to eradicate your ego, eliminate your ego, which is not possible anyway. Bhagavad Gita wants you to recognize other egos also. So you have to function in a family of egos. Like musical conductor, there are different musicians with their own respective instruments come. And the conductor's job is to create a harmony out of all this, a melody out of it, a symphony out of all this. Not to destroy the unity or destroy the uniqueness of the musicians. Every musician has something to contribute. That's how you create a rich variety of harmony and symphony. If you kill one musician, then it creates a jarring noise. So Bhagavad Gita, so you must be very happy now. Bhagavad Gita doesn't want you to eradicate your ego. It only wants you, because ego is your agency, your uniqueness. So as a unique individual, you have to bring out your uniqueness into the entire symphony. And Bhagavad Gita uses the word, or in the Vedas, we find the word rhythm. Rhythm means the great grand symphony that the universe is, where every individual has got a place. Every unique individual have their place. If this is understood, now let us inquire into this body, mind, ego complex, which is our instrument, which is part of the whole system. How do we use this body, mind, ego complex? So here is an inquiry into this in the Bhagavad Gita. And I take my data from the 7th chapter, then on to the 14th chapter, then the 15th chapter, then the 17th chapter and the 18th chapter. Those who are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, it is from these chapters I take my data from this investigation, from this analysis. So I repeat, the 7th chapter, there is one sloka which talks about these three gunas. There is one sloka in the 7th chapter, and the sloka is Yetu satviga bhavaha rajasa tamasasche Matta eveditan viddhi nattoham teshu te mayi. That particular sloka. There these three words come for the first time in the Bhagavad Gita. What are the three words? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Then it reappears in the 14th chapter, 15th chapter, not much in 15th chapter, but 14th chapter, then 17th chapter, then the 18th chapter. So according to Bhagavad Gita, the building blocks of the entire world, including your brain and your mind and your body, are these three gunas. They are the building blocks. Three gunas. And the three gunas are, in Sanskrit, we call Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. You must have heard all these words. Sattva is a certain color. There is a certain color for Sattva. The color is yellow. All the Chinese must be Sattva, isn't it? Yellow people. So the color of Sattva is yellow. The color of Rajas is red. The color of Tamas is blue. And all these three energies are very important. You cannot be exclusively Sattvic, exclusively Rajasic, and exclusively Sattvic. And these three energies, which are the fundamental building blocks of the world as well as your body, mind, ego complex. And what are the properties of these three energies? And the properties of Sattva is reflectivity, transparency. That's the property of Sattva. Reflectivity and transparency. And the property of Rajas is passion and activity. And the property of Tamas is gravity and stability. So please understand, these are the three properties. The first is Sattva, reflectivity and transparency. Rajas is passion and activity. And Tamas is gravity and stability. Tamas brings stability into the equation. Tamas brings certain solidity into the equation. Rajas brings activity, passion, transformation into the equation. And Sattva is reflectivity, transparency into the equation. So we all are a combination of these three gunas. Our body, mind, ego complex is a combination of these three gunas. And when all these three gunas combine in an individual, that state is called varna. So every individual has got a certain unique varna, a unique color, a unique flavor. So what is your varna? In Ayurveda, you sometimes ask, what is your dosha? Here in Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita asks, what is your varna? What is your character? What is your unique USP, selling point? What makes you what you are? So these three gunas combine, create certain varna, certain profile for you. A unique characteristic. And thus each one of us are unique individuals. You cannot compare yourself with another person. You cannot repeat what other person are doing. Of course you can try, but you will become miserable. Therefore, it is very important to function efficiently in this world that we should understand our unique varna, which is a combination of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Meaning reflectivity, energy and passivity or stability. These three things together. For example, when you go to deep sleep, you are stable, isn't it? That means Tamas is active. Now when you are listening to the speaker, now Sattva is active. Then You think of something else, something which you have read, suddenly that thought comes, then rajas is active. So these three energies are so dynamically related to each other. And it's a continuous process. Morning you are sattvic, by 11 o'clock you are rajasic, after lunch you are tamasic, again when you wake up you are sattvic, again you become rajasic, then by 12 o'clock at night you are dead, tired, and you again tamas takes over. See, if you say I have no tamas in me, I have only sattva, then you will never sleep. You become a somnambulist. So therefore, we need a happy combination of these three gunas in us. And some people have got a predominance of certain guna. So Bhagavad Gita says, those who have a predominance of sattva, forgive me for using this word, they are called brahmanas. They are called brahmanas. A predominance of sattva in their personality makeup, in that personality type. There's a predominance of sattva. Let us call them brahmanas, or another way of putting it is SRT type. SRT type. Meaning what? 60% is sattva, 30% is rajas, and 10% is tamas. So those who have 60% of sattva, 30% of rajas, and 10% of tamas, they are called brahmanas. So early in the morning we are brahmana. By 11 o'clock we become kshatriya. By after lunch we become something else, isn't it? So it's a very dynamic interaction between these three gunas in your personality. Nobody is a permanent brahmana. Of course, some people demonstrate a predominance of certain guna throughout their life. That is their personality type. So those who are 60% sattva, 30% rajas, 10% tamas, they are called brahmanas or SRT type. Now you can reflect yourself. I don't have to bring a scanner and see whether you are a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. This is for your own reflection. And the second type is called kshatriyas, meaning they have 60% of rajas in them, 30% of tamas, and 30% of rajas and 10% of tamas. They are called kshatriyas, warriors, brave people. They take risk. They have certain power and bounds about. Whereas brahmanas are quite contemplative, research oriented, maybe professors. But kshatriyas are leaders, organizers, brave people, take risks, jump into the fire. That is the kshatriya type. And then there is the third type, in whom 60% is rajas, 30% is tamas, 10% is sattva. They are called vaishyas. These are all words used in the Bhagavad Gita. They are called vaishyas. They are more interested in making money, productive activities, farming, animal husbandry, commerce, industry. Mainly they are the producers. Whereas kshatriyas are organizers. They organize communities, make sure their law and order prevails in their community, defend the nation, give leadership, take decisions. But the Brahmins are not good at taking decisions. They go this way, that way. They give you a lot of options. If you do this, this is the consequence. If you do that, that is the consequence. If you don't do this, this is the consequence. They are the Brahmins. They give you ideas. They give you many ideas. And it is the leader's job to choose one of those ideas because you have to act. For that you need a Kshatriya quality and face the consequence. So Brahmins will be always there, sitting on the chair. Kshatriyas will come and go. Next election Kshatriya goes. Another Kshatriya comes. Brahmins are always there to advise. Isn't it? So their position is safe. Kshatriyas are always in the forefront, on the firing line. So you need a certain inner courage, which is provided by the Rajas. Whereas Vaishya, they are more interested in money, not in power, not in ideas. They work with their hand, move their legs. So that is the Vaishya type, or Vaishya, what they call Varna. Then there is another type called the Shudra type. Shudra type, the predominant guna is tamas, stability, loyalty. Shudras will be very loyal to you. Brahmins will not be loyal because they are interested in ideas. You cannot catch up with them. Kshatriyas also will not be loyal to you because they want power for themselves. But if you put a Shudra, he is very loyal to you. So Shudras are very loyal, stable people. They create stability in the organization. They bring stability. They bring the glue to the organization. So they are called Shudras because predominantly they are tamasic. Then the Rajas, 30%. Then 10% is Sattva. Now these are the four main categories, personality types. The Brahmin type, Kshatriya type, Vaishya type and Shudra type. Then there are two volatile types. It's very difficult to predict their behavior. These 3-4 types you can predict their behavior. One is for ideas and inquiry and investigation and creating ideas, creating values, disseminating values. That's the Brahmin type. You can predict. So to Kshatriya type, power and organization and control, punishment, reward, you can predict their behavior. And Vaishya type you can predict. They will be interested in farming, animal husbandry, commerce and trade, predictable behavior. And various other kind of skills. Shudra's behavior also, he'll be loyal. He will be assisting you, helping you, that person. There are other two volatile types. Which Bhagavad Gita uses the word Shopakaha or Chandala. Bhagavad Gita uses the word Shopaka. It's a volatile type of personality. Unpredictable person. And another category the Bhagavad Gita uses, Rakshasa and Asura. I would call it the Mlecha type. The Mlecha type. What is the distinguishing, what is their Varna? Their distinguishing characteristic. The Chandalas or Shopakas, Bhagavad Gita uses the word Shopaka, not Chandala, but Shopaka. Shopaka literally means one who eats dog. Sham Pachadi the Shopaka, one who eats dog. Dog eaters. So, eats too much flesh. So the Chandala's nature is, or Shopaka's nature is, they have a predominance of Sattva followed by Tamas. Rajas is far behind. As a result of that, generally they are doing good things, but sometimes they can do such a bad act that they pull down the entire system. They are good people. Sometimes you need them, but you cannot trust them. You don't know when they are going to be violent, when they are going to something very bad. So it's very difficult to predict their behavior. Generally they are good, but there are moments they lose their control and they can demolish the whole system. Those who are running organizations, they know what I am talking about. You need some organizational experience for that. So you should be always on your guard. This person is good, but sometimes that person can be very bad and you cannot predict their behavior. They pull down everything. They expose you. Call the confident. Something confidential you have said, they will just blurt it out. And the whole thing goes awry, let us say, pell-mell. And the other type is called Rakshasa or Asura, or I will call Mlecha. The Mlecha type is, they are predominantly sattvic. The Chandala type is predominantly tamas, then the sattva. Predominantly tamas, then sattva. And the Mlecha type is predominantly sattva, but then followed by tamas. So as a result, they do bad things most of the time, but sometimes they do very good things. So in some crisis situations, you need this Rakshasa type of people. When a certain crisis comes, they alone will venture into that situation and solve the problem. You and I won't solve. Brahmana will not. Kshatriya will not. Because he is very calculated. Here is a person, he is predominantly sattvic and then followed by tamas. So certain situation, crisis situation, you may have to depend upon these people. So these are the two volatile types. And I would call it STR and TSR type. I don't know whether these acronyms will help you. So let me again say that the Brahmin is SRT type, the Kshatriya is RST type, the Vaishya is RTS type, and the Shudra is TRS type, and the Chandala or Shapaka is TSR type, and the Mlecha or Rakshasa or Asura, all these words are used in the Bhagavad Gita. This is STR type. Meaning Asura, Rakshasa, you can make use of him in emergency situations, his services, his talents, but you cannot depend upon that person. He is unpredictable. Similarly, the Chandala cannot depend, he is unpredictable. So these are the 6 personality types discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. If you are a leader, whether you are in the family context or the organizational context or the community context, we all are leaders in our own way. In the family you are the leader, community you are the leader, your corporate you are leader. You need this idea in mind. Who is the Brahmin type, Kshatriya type, Vaishya type, Shudra type, Chandala type and Mlecha type. Accordingly, you have to recruit them, train them, place them, reward them. For example, a Brahmin, if you want to motivate him to do a piece of work in the organization, you have to explain to him why he should do that. What is the value that you are trying to create as a result of that? You must give him the vision, otherwise he will not be motivated. A Kshatriya can be motivated by giving a position and a power. Giving ideas doesn't help. Tell him this is the vision and you have to do that. And he will do that or she will do that. A Vaishya, you cannot motivate by power. You have to give him money. Give him a high salary. Then alone he can be motivated. A Shudra, you have to give him a bottle of whiskey or a pleasure tip or threaten him. If you don't do that, I will dismiss you. If you do that to a Kshatriya, he will say, okay, I am leaving now. Don't do that. The same strategy or motivation strategy wouldn't work because these are different types of Varna people. So you have to employ different strategies to motivate this different kind of people. This is the leadership. So motivation, inspiration, and the kind of work they are supposed to do. So therefore, all these individuals, and there is a seventh type. The seventh type is a gunaditaha, beyond the gunas. It doesn't function within the space of the gunas. He is a master of the guna. Majority of the people are the product of the gunas. They function within the guna composition. So it is for you as an individual to discover what is your varna, what is your personality. And accordingly, you must gain training. So our training should be in tune with our personality type or inner disposition. And Bhagavad Gita says, Guna karma vibhagashaha. What is your guna composition? Accordingly, you have to get a training. And then that combination of your guna and training is what makes you who you are today. It requires a deep reflection. What is my varna? And accordingly, I must gain training. In education, that becomes very important. How do you train children? What are they interested in? How do we discover that? And please understand, Bhagavad Gita does not say these gunas come from the family where you are born. It is guna karma. It is genetic. Genetically you have these qualities, but not the family where you are born. For example, a doctor's son need not have a doctor's disposition. An engineer's son need not have an engineer's disposition. It is not janmana. That's a misunderstanding we have. Bhagavad Gita doesn't support that. A Brahmin son are invariably Brahmin. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. It is guna karma vibhagashaha. Your varna is determined not by your birth. It is by your worth. Your genetic disposition. So having understood that, my varna depends upon my guna and my karma. Karma means your training. And then you function in the world. And as an individual, we have a talent depending upon guna and training, and we have our needs also. That's another thing we have to understand. We all have our talents and our needs. And we express our talent to fulfill our needs. All of us are trying to express our talent depending upon our varna, and we also want to fulfill certain needs. And in this effort, we come together, because alone we will not be able to fulfill our needs. If you are living in an island where nobody is there, then you'll have to catch a raw fish and eat that, isn't it? So in our effort to fulfill our needs and express our talents, we come together. We create communities. Their biological communities are family. There is a social community. Socially we come together. Biologically we are together. Because only human beings are the biological family. Other animals, they produce the children, they train them, then they leave them. But we are still hanging together as a family. So in our effort to fulfill our needs and express our talents, we come together as a family, we come together as a community. And these communities together create a society. Let's say the Brahmin community. Let's say the Kshatriya community, like a professional community these days. Isn't it? Doctors Association, Engineers Association and all that. Similarly, there is a Brahminic community. What they eat, what they do, how do they interact. Then they create a community. And the Kshatriya community, Vaishya community, Shudra community, Chandala community, and Mlecha community. All these communities together create the society. The society is envisaged as an organism, not a machine. It is an organism made of organs made up of, let us say, tissues and cells. So the Bhagavad Gita idea of society is an organism, it's an organic entity, made up of individuals. All individuals are alive. They have agency. They have values. So please understand, an individual, a family or kula, then the community or a jadi, and the society or vyavastha. These are the words used. Varna, ashrama, vyavastha. Vyavastha means entire society. So when we come together, we create values, language, culture. All these are result because we are working together. I hope you understand all this. You have to deeply reflect on that. So here is an individual. He has got his own unique characteristics, and he has needs and talents. And to fulfilling those needs and talents, we come together. And when we come together, there are certain rules that we follow. We have to follow the rules of the physical world. We have to follow the rules of the moral world. Because when we come together as individuals, we create the moral relationships. What is the fundamental rule of morality? Do unto others as you would they do unto you. So those moral principles. And we also have to understand the physical rules. So thus, societies are generated. So according to Bhagavad Gita, the society is not a machine. The image of a society is not like a machine. The image of society is like an organism. It's a person. In the Purusha Sutta, the whole society is conceived, the whole universe is conceived as a person, a living person. Society also is there, because they are made up of individuals, living individuals. So thus, in the 14th and the 17th and the 18th chapters, we see the individual collectively creating societies, communities, jadis, and vyavasthas and all that. So, thus, we have created a situation where you can fulfill your needs and express your talents. This is the idea of Guna matrix in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything is a play of Gunas. The whole universe is a play of Gunas. And somewhere in the 3rd or 4th chapter, Bhagavad Gita says, Guna guneshu vartande. It is all an interaction between one set of Gunas with another set of Gunas. So when you interact with me, my Gunas interact with your Gunas. It's all presided over by consciousness. The presence of consciousness, this thing happens. And so when we act in this world according to our Gunas, and the world is not, everything is not uniform there. Because everything is unique. Every individual is unique. The world is a combination, as we have seen, a harmony of this unique individual. So Bhagavad Gita wants you to do your swadharma. Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayava. You must act in this world according to your varna or your dharma. And that dharma, one has to discover what is one's varna. Maybe through a process of competition. This we have to introduce into Bhagavad Gita. Through a process of competition, by trial and error, one has to discover what is my dharma, what is my varna, what is my unique mission in this world. Maybe through competitive examinations. Earlier it was all decided by which family you were born. That is no more relevant now. Because those days, the parents used to teach the skills to the children. These days that doesn't happen. You go to the university and you study there. At that time, the family tradition was relevant. Now that is not relevant. Through a process of competition or competitive examinations, through trial and error in the marketplace, one has to find one's niche in this complex social organization. One has to find one's niche. It requires a lot of alertness. So Bhagavan says, by performing your duties in the world, by trying to express your talents and fulfilling your needs, and being part of this complex social system, you will be able to unfold your innate potential. You will be able to express your happiness. That's your innate potential through the choices that we make. So having said this, Bhagavan also tried to take several situations, several points to analyze things in terms of guna, these three gunas. For example, he says, let us take food. Ahara. Food is very important for us. What we eat determines your guna. Let us take food. Food also can be divided into these three categories. There is sattvic food, rajasic food, and tamasic food. Sattvic food is which is agreeable to you. You feel comfortable while eating, after eating, and you feel good and stable. So there is sattvic food. I am not going to give a menu. Bhagavan does not give you a menu of sattvic food. He says, then you eat, and after eating you feel comfortable and joyous and happy and strong. That is called sattvic food. Then there is rajasic food. Very hot and very fried and all kind of rajasic food. Rajasic food after eating is, while you eat it you feel comfortable. After eating you feel very bad. And it creates diseases, discomfort. And there is tamasic food also. Tamasic food is that food, after eating you feel very sleepy. While eating, after eating also you feel very bad. So food is divided into three types. Shraddha is divided into three types. Shraddha means your inclination, your disposition, your affinity. Shraddha, your faith, also divided into three types. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Similarly, Bhagavan says, Tyaga, renunciation, sannyasa also divided into three types. All sannyasis look the same, isn't it? They also are divided into three types. Sattvic sannyasis, Rajasic sannyasis and Tamasic sannyasis. Sannyasa means renunciation. Who is a Tamasic sannyasi? Mohat parityajyate. After delusion you renounce things. I gave my job. Why? I have become a sannyasi. Why did you renounce your job? After delusion, not any particular reason. Some people renounce because of fear of things. I don't know what is going to happen, so let me renounce. The real renunciation is doing your duties out of conviction that I am part of this world. I have to do my duties. Karyamityeva yat karma. Whoever does his duties in the world without expecting the fruits as an instrument of the Lord, he is a real sannyasi. Sannyasa also divided into three types. Tyaga, ahara, shraddha. Then kartrutva, doership, also divided into three types. Here is a person who does things because this is my duty to do it. The deontological concept of duty. I must do it. This is my job. There are other people who do it because for appreciation, for recognition. Third person, he is doing because everybody is doing, let me also do it. isn't it? So, kartrutva is classified into three types: sattva, rajas, and tamas. You can see that in your organization or in a house. Some people do out of a sense of duty, some people do because it gets recognition. You have to keep on praising them, do it, you're a great person, wonderful person. Some people you have to whip them to do, even then they don't do it. Isn't it? So doership is three types. Karma itself is three types. Knowledge is three types. Knowledge. One knowledge is by which you see the unity in things, the oneness. A knowledge with which you can see the oneness. Everything is related. That's called sattvic knowledge. Then there is a rajasic knowledge. You see only the divisions. You belong to that class, I belong to this class. All kinds of divisions. And there is third type of knowledge which is called tamasa jnana. You hold on to one thing and say this is all. Like fundamentalist ideas. So knowledge itself is divided into three types. The way you create knowledge, the way you disseminate knowledge, the way you use knowledge, the way you collect knowledge, certain disposition needs to be brought into that. A sattvic person always looks for common ground. What unites us? A rajasic person always looks for fight. What divides us? And a tamasic person, you hold on to one idea and say this is it. My way or all the way to the highway. That also is a type of knowledge. And you can gather information and data to project that knowledge. You can collect data to say that black people are less than intelligent. You can collect data for that. You can collect data to say coffee is good for your heart. Tea is bad, Coca-Cola, everything is bad, only coffee is good. You can collect data for that. Data is neutral. It depends upon where you collect data from, with what intention you collected data from. How you mesh that data, create information and ideas out of that. What are you bringing into? What is the initial hypothesis, initial idea? The knowledge can be sattvic knowledge, rajasic knowledge and tamasic knowledge. So kartrutva, karma, knowledge. Then Bhagavan says even dhrudi means willpower. You can use willpower in three ways. One willpower is you use that willpower to promote goodness, unity. When there is a situation where things are all coming together into beautiful harmony and you are using your will to create that situation. And the other people, they flourish in division and conflict and fight. Otherwise they are sleeping. Your will is used for that. So will also can be, your willpower can be used, can be understood in three ways. Similarly, buddhi. Buddhi can be used in three ways. And finally, Bhagavan says, happiness also there are three types. There are three types of happiness. One happiness is you are happy with yourself. Atmanishta sukham, yogaja sukham. Another happiness is when you indulge in a desirable object, that happiness. Vishayanishta sukham. Now you analyze what is your type of happiness. Are you happy with yourself or are you happy when you have a couple of things around you? Third happiness is doing nothing, sleeping, drinking, that kind of happiness. And some people are like that. So there are three types of happiness, three types of renunciation. So Bhagavan takes about 12 situations. Let me enumerate it. Shraddha, faith. Faith can be divided into three types. The Vedantin faith is inclusive faith. Vedantin want to include everything. Certain faiths are divisive faith. Faith divides you. Certain faith is very fundamentalist. So faith, food, renunciation, knowledge, action, agency, dhrudi or willpower, buddhi, intelligence. Intelligence also three types. And then sukham. So there are 12 situations that Bhagavad Gita takes up for analysis, and all of them are divided into or graded into three types, three grades. Apparently all look the same. Yajna is another concept. Dana, donation, charity. Charity also three types. One charity is nobody will know whom you are giving, what are you giving. The right hand will not know what the left hand is doing. Other charities, you bring all the television people, everybody, and then in front of the camera you give a charity. That is a rajasic charity. The third charity is you give something after scolding a lot. You stupid idiot, take it, eat it. That is the third type of charity. So let me enumerate it. So Shraddha or faith, then Tyaga, renunciation, then Yajna. Yajna means collective work, teamwork. Teamwork also three types. Certain people put the team in front of. Team is more important, not my person. I contribute to the team. I want to problem solve. I want to solve the problem, not that I have to solve the problem. We want to solve the problem together. Certain people, if I am there, I will contribute. If I am the head, I will contribute. Otherwise, no. There are third people who always create problems. They revel in creating problems. That is the tamasic. So let me enumerate this 12 situation. Shraddha, faith, renunciation, tyaga, yajna, teamwork, dana, charity, tabas means that personal discipline. There are people who discipline themselves to realize their inner potential. There are other people who discipline themselves to defeat the other, to conquer the other. Third people that discipline themselves to torture themselves. That also is there. Their discipline is only to torture themselves. It doesn't produce any salutary result. At the end of the day, you are completely exhausted. So there are three types of discipline. So let me repeat it. Let me repeat what are these situations. One is Shraddha or faith. Second is Dana, Tyaga, renunciation. Third is Yajna, teamwork. And fourth is Dana, charity. Fifth is Tapas, discipline. And sixth is Ahara, food. And seventh is Buddhi, intellect. Eighth is willpower. Ninth is Sukha. And 10th is doership. 11th is action. And the 12th is, what else is missing? So let me read it again in Sanskrit. Shraddha, Tyagam, renunciation. Ahara, food. Yajna, teamwork. Dana, charity. Taba, self-discipline. Jnanam, knowledge. Karta, doership. Karma, action. buddhi, intelligence, dhriti, willpower, and sukham, happiness. These are the 12 situations where Bhagavan brings the idea of the gunas in grading, in understanding the situation. So thus we have a complete understanding of the individual and the community and the family and the larger organization, and we are part of that. All these are a play of gunas. The ultimate message is discover your personality type, create communities and organizations and teams, and function in those teams, in the communities, to express your talent and fulfill your needs. Thus you create a harmonious, happy society. This is the vision of Bhagavad Gita as far as individual is concerned. Individual is not an isolated entity. Individual is functioning in a complex situation. What Bhagavan calls the vyavastha, a complex situation. And so your choices is not individual choices. Your choices should reflect the complexity in which you are functioning. That's why discussion is necessary. It's not just you make your choices. You have to reflect. So you have to discover your uniqueness, and you have to function as a part of the universe, the world. And such a person I call a devotee. A devotee. A devotee is one who functions in the world as part of a family, a community, and the society, and the larger universe. Each one of your choices will take all these factors into consideration. Then alone, a choice becomes a perfect or at least optimal choice. So make such optimal choices. Be sensitive and empathetic to what is happening all around, and thus when you function, it becomes a yajna. It becomes a harmonious, fulfilling action, where you create win-win situation, where you don't destroy the environment, there you don't destroy the other, where you don't create violence in this world. You will be able to operate in a harmonious, non-violent environment, where you can fulfill your total potential. So next time I'll be talking about this yajna. How can you make it possible? That's my thing. Yajna means to give and receive. You have to see all this. You have to give something to receive something. Our problem is we receive but we never give. So how do you bring that idea that I am part of a complex system as an individual? I am a unique individual, but I function in a system of other unique individuals, and I have to align with them. So this give and receive philosophy, and the whole world functions that way. Only human beings break this rhythm. Human being doesn't follow this rhythm. If you don't follow this rhythm, then it causes an environmental damage, social problems, tensions, and in that process you are not able to fulfill your potential, all kind of problems. So this ideal of yajna, which is presented in the Bhagavad Gita, will be the topic of my discussion. How to function as a unique individual in this complex system by giving and receiving, or giving and taking. So thank you very much. So we'll see next time, Saturday.